What is up, geeks and geekettes? It's another episode of the Countdown to the Geekcast. My name is Ted, aka Steady. Joining me is the man behind the magic, you know him as Joe Garcia.
Hey, everybody. Excited to be back and talking about some of our favorite topics here with our good friend, the Legacy of Nerd, Daniel, here joining us. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, last but not least, we got the Legacy of Nerd joining us. You see him every week. We've done some collaborations together. It's the one and only Daniel. What's going on, guy?
Not too much. Not too much. Having
Oh,
fun,
and
man.
before we go any further, go Cowboys.
Ooh, don't jinx it. It's only week 2, Joe. Do not jinx it. What's going on, everybody? If you are in the chat, say what's up. Did your team win this past weekend, NFL wise? Let us know. We want to hear from you guys. Also, what was the best thing that happened to you this past weekend? I'm gonna just really quick shout out. My 3-year-old daughter had her first dance recital.
Mhm.
Me and my wife were thrilled. She was she was a boss. She, performed in front of a full house, 600 people. It was amazing. Proud father moment. So just want to get that out of the way. It
Don't be
was
lying,
pretty
Teddy. You know
incredible.
you were shedding a tear there because you're watching your
Oh,
baby girl.
I was real proud. Ooh, I forgot. Hang on. Maddie couldn't join us today. He's a little under the weather. So in honor of Maddie B,
Nah, it didn't sound as good as Maddie's.
well, you know why? Like these craft beers, they explode if you
Nah,
open them too fast. You know how it is.
he's drinking his bougie beer. Me and Maddie usually pop the Miller Lite.
Yeah, I was supposed to say, I drink Miller Lite. What is that? What are you
This is
drinking?
this is you know what we're not sponsored, but if you want to sponsor us, this is
Not
the
yet.
Deftones Phantom Bride. It's a
Ah.
IPA, but it's almost like a hazy IPA. It's not a straight IPA. The brewery is Belching Beaver. Look at this beautiful design. Deftones, baby. Deftones. Awesome. So, we have a great show for you guys. We need to pretty much get it started because we got a long list of things to talk about. We're going to be talking about She Hulk, episode 5. We're also going to be talking about House of the Dragon, episode 5. We're also going to be talking about Rings of Power, episode 4. And we'll do some geeky weekly headlines or some pretty interesting news tidbits you're going to want to stick around for at the end. But first, I think we should start with She-Hulk. Actually, She-Hulk has been pretty, has been getting better every single week, and I think this week was also no exception at all. So we're gonna start this discussion of She-Hulk, episode 5, the way we start every discussion of She-Hulk, with a summary. So this is episode 5, Mean Green, and straight poured into these jeans, just like Joe always says every single week on the show. But it goes a little something like this. We opened the episode on Jennifer still dealing with the fact that Titania has trademarked the name She Hulk and has created a cosmetic line with it, a garbage cosmetic line. August and Pug look to get Jen some drip with Luke Jacobson, the hottest superhero suit designer since Edna Mode. Titania loses her lawsuit to She Hulk with a little help from Jen's Tinder dates, and the episode ends with Jen being pleased with her new suit, and she's not Luke's only superhero client at the moment, as we see him place down a box with the mask of the one and the only Daredevil. Daniel's going to take a short break. Joe, Joe, please tell me you got all stoked and excited when you saw that mask on this episode.
Yeah, I did because I actually thought that Daredevil was going to actually be the lawyer who would represent
I love
Jen,
that idea. I thought it was a
you
great
know?
idea, Joe.
Because like she can't represent herself, but they had somebody in house, that they went ahead and went with. But nonetheless, it was a little Easter egg there that I'm sure drove all the fans wild. And they're like, oh, so maybe it's a hint to something to come. Maybe next episode or before the season's over. We do know that Daredevil will be making a cameo at some point.
I mean, I think this is the last tease, right? Like it's got to happen next week, or else now they're just messing with us and trolling if it doesn't happen next week. Daniel, your thoughts on not only the Daredevil tease at the end, but just episode 5 overall, man? What do you think?
It was good. We got a little bit more lawyery. We haven't had a lawyer show, I guess, a lawyer episode in like an episode or two because we begin getting to know Jen a little bit better. Um, One thing that I will mention is my fiance likes She-Hulk, and she keeps on noticing like this show in particular is shorter than most of the MCU shows because this one's like strictly the 30-minute sitcom, and she
Yeah.
feels like she kind of feels cheated because some of the other episodes, like with Loki or whatever came Hawkeye, you would get some 45-minute episodes, and sometimes it'd be an hour, or even like with Mandalorian and Boba Fett. And I have to agree with her. It seems we got the first kind of a strong woman, female led show. If you don't, Miss Marvel is more like a teen drama, and it's kind of shorted out a little bit. But that being said, I think the show is really good. I think you mentioned in the past as far as some of the CGI being less impressive than the other parts of the MCU, but I think
Yeah.
that can be forgiven. But as far as the Daredevil tease, it was a nice little thing. I didn't, you kind of accepted it like halfway through the episode, like it wasn't happening. So to get it at the little end was cool. The helmet looked more gold than yellow than what I thought it was going to be. So I know the idea is we're supposed to be getting pre full red leather Daredevil as it was in the comics with the yellow suit. But I'm kind of excited to see where, like, I have to say, like, every time I kind of get an idea where this show might be going, it kind of is like, hold on, we're not getting there yet, and we want you to see this first.
If it's, I wish the showrunners would have been more open about the tone of the show. That way we can already get in this mindset. Just like you mentioned, you had different expectations, the lengths of the episodes should be longer. But in a true comedy, in a courtroom comedy, 30-minute or 25 to 30-minute episodes is like normal. And I think if they kind of would have, I don't know, it feels like these last two episodes nailed the tone of what they're going for.
Yeah,
And it's almost like you wanted that the entire time. And maybe it's hard to start out that way. I don't know how you do it. More sort of kind of quirky music in the background to kind of play with and make it a little bit more playful. Um, but these last two episodes, 5 and 4, the tone is perfect. The writing is fantastic. The comedy is all there. These supporting characters are incredible. Like they're unforgettable, and that's what you
yeah.
want. You want to bring in people that are mesmerizing and they're hilarious, and you want to hear and see everything they're doing. So this Luke Jacobson is no different. Like I'm just like, this guy's awesome. We need to bring all these characters back by the final episode and like one big montage or something.
There's a
I
lot
I
of
want to see more of it.
big character kind of moments there. Last episode we had Madison, and this year we have. I'm sorry, I think it was Luke or the costume designer.
Yeah,
Like
Luke Jacobson. Yeah,
these big. Is he somebody in the comics? I couldn't remember if he was somebody, or at least I don't. I was kind of thinking he more reminded me of Mr. Incredible or the
Edna
Incredibles.
mode.
That's what he
that's
reminded
what I
me
mentioned.
of.
Edna
Mode.
Mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Titania, I think, stood out. I think she's going to be a good. I don't think she's going to be a. My question is, we're asking was, why was she attacking that courtroom in the very first episode? Still, like we still haven't
They
explained
said
that.
it was a misunderstanding.
Okay, this is random. Like,
I just think, you know what, like the whole time we're worrying. I'm worrying. I'm talking about myself here. I'm worrying about what's the plot of this
yeah,
show. And if you don't want me to ask that question, then yeah, throw out the Titania thing and make it something else. Or the goons that tried to, take a sample of her blood. I'm still wondering about that, but
yeah,
no answers. So just hold off all of that, and then we don't care about it. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying like I started asking those questions because I thought those were the questions we were supposed to ask. But I'm totally fine with episode 4 and episode 5 the entire time. Let's
and I
just
kind of
do courtroom comedy featuring She-Hulk. with all these cartoon characters around her, and I'm having a good time.
Well, I have some things I'd like to say real quick. One of those is it kind of reminds me of the old school sitcom from back in the 80s. I don't know, this might be before your time, Ted, but there was a sitcom called Night Court. And this kind of reminds me of Night Court, but of course with the Marvel twist to it. And the other thing is, Titania, I think, coming in and making Jen reveal herself was strategic. Titania's come out again, and it's like, oh, it was a misunderstanding. Now she's trying to go ahead and steal She-Hulk, the name She-Hulk, and start to, peddle her wares that are, nothing more than snake oil. It's bad stuff. And, at the end, yeah, Jen does get her name back and says, very embarrassing way of getting her name back, having to go ahead and call back to her dates that were not as, let's say, up to par as other people would want, because basically they were all disasters,
Yeah.
her dates. And even the judge was like, that's pretty embarrassing, But
Not the last one. That one was a good date.
yeah,
But
the
it,
That was
last
it
kind
ended
of
one,
it ended
sad.
it
the
ended
other ones,
well.
the other ones were pretty embarrassing. But Facebook, somebody watching us on Facebook says it's got to be the worst episode so far.
You
Does
know who that
anybody?
is already.
Yeah,
He,
but I'm
he's
just saying.
his privacy settings are still not fixed, but that's
Yeah,
actually Maddie B.
No
Maddie B joining
way.
us from the chat.
yeah, but I'm saying I get that because at the end of the day, it does seem to be just centered about, okay, what's going on with Jen Walters as she's traveling through this world of her just doing her day job, being a lawyer and all the legalities that go around that, and her everyday excursions, with her friends and things that happen to her in her everyday life. So again, I mean, I get that it gets a little bit thin at times, but it's just something that you're not going to put a lot of thought into. You just go and enjoy the ride for what it is. And at the core, it's a sitcom. It's 30 minutes just to make you laugh, and just to make you have a good time and enjoy it. It's not meant to be taken too serious.
I mean,
Right. And
it could
and
be
that's
two things.
totally
Yeah.
the point is it's not meant to be taken serious. But I'm also going to go back to what Matt said. He says, is the law portion of the show getting ridiculous? Yes, but they should have had it that ridiculous from the minute one, episode one, the very beginning. Ridiculous law show. That way, like we understand. And I'm not trying to say like they're wrong. They did it wrong. I'm not criticizing them for doing it wrong. I think everybody would understand across the board what we were getting into if it was sort of established from the very beginning. Ridiculous courtroom comedy, which I'm entertained by. I am entertained by it. So I'm wishing we had that the whole time. I think that we would all be on the same page. But instead, people thought like, oh, cool, this is gonna be She-Hulk. She's strong. She's gonna fight people. It's gonna be action packed. And it's like, no, 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 no. Nobody said that. Who said that? Nobody said that.
She's
Yeah.
So
been
Hey,
yeah,
clear from the first
quick
episode
shout
that she
out
does
here.
not want to be a superhero. I
Yeah.
mean, that's her thing. And
I wanted to
and
shout
I'm
out to my buddy Rudy.
Rudy. Also, Jason says, "What is the point of Titania in the series? Is she just going to be a common annoyance? The show feels like an MCU sitcom. Yes, so
yeah.
it has moments, but no major plot. I'm okay with it. Jason's saying what I'm saying. If we knew that there was going to be no plot and it was just going to be a sitcom, like think Seinfeld. This is the Seinfeld
Yeah.
of Marvel. If you would have told us that." Before the premiere, I would have been like, okay, I get it. We're not going to worry about villains. We're not going to worry about action sequences. We're just going to worry about, dick jokes and
And that's fine.
dating. And it's
I agree
totally
with you.
fine.
They need to
Totally
tell
fine.
us. Like they need to tell us
They-
this is what it is. Because you go back to the days of WandaVision, and it may not have been 5 episodes, but the first 3 or 4, we had no clue what was going on. We had an idea, but it was more like, okay, we got a little static today. Oh, they can see them on the TV. Like that's all we got for the first couple of episodes. and then it dropped like the freaking bomb on us. So I don't know.
Check out Joe throwing shade at Matt. Matt doesn't know anything though. Don't agree with him. Oh man, I love you guys. You guys are hilarious. Rudy's in
it's
the
a
chat as well.
yeah.
I must be one of the few nerds who actually enjoyed every Marvel series that's been released, even She-Hulk. I'm actually in that same boat.
Yeah, it's been
I've
I'm in
enjoyed
fun.
that.
every show.
I've enjoyed every single show. This one, it I've enjoyed it, but I did not understand the entire time what their focus was.
Yeah, direction.
And
Direction.
yeah, and even Hawkeye. I enjoyed Hawkeye more than I thought I would, and I think a lot of people did. So yes, I am in
Yeah.
that boat as well.
Hey, real quick shout out to my friend here, Rudy Campos Jr. And make sure you go and follow him and what he's doing over there with his guys at Sweep the League. You can follow them across social media. So shout out to you, man. Thanks for watching.
Rudy, thanks for joining, man. Keep up those comments. I know you're holding back, but keep those comments rolling. Awesome. Yeah, so listen, that was episode 5. We have 4 more episodes. There's 9 this season. Should be getting Charlie Cox as Daredevil next week. Hopefully there's no more teases happening. Yeah, so I'm still intrigued. I'm still excited. I'm now on the sitcom couch. I'm sitting on the sitcom couch. I'm not worried about plot, not worried about villains. If they decide to throw them in there, fine. Not a big deal. I'll go with it. But yeah, this episode was fun. The last episode was fun. And yeah, I'm gonna watch it all the way through, and we're gonna talk about it, and it's gonna be like that.
Did you all guys see that interview with Charlie Cox where he said Daredevil and the MCU is season 1, episode 1?
I didn't see that.
I did hear something of like they're soft rebooting Daredevil. Is that
Okay.
what you're talking about?
Yeah, I don't know if he meant that literally or like we're just starting anew. Like I don't know what he meant by that.
The only thing that I might throw in there to go against that is Vincent D'Onofrio. Whenever he's talking about his Kingpin, he's always said this is Netflix Marvel Kingpin, like coming back. It's not like it's a brand new thing. Like they're using sort of that same character arc going forward, which they don't have to do much. He's by the 3rd season of Daredevil, by the end, he's badass Kingpin.
Yeah.
And so him in the MCU now is like you're getting the best version of him going forward. So he's always said this is the Kingpin from before. Charlie Cox, maybe he's just trying to say like, not everything's going to be the same. We're not going to
Yeah.
worry about the past too much. We won't talk about it as much. But I mean, I don't think it's going to be like an entirely new variant.
Yeah.
It'll probably be an
Daredevil.
excuse not to bring back. Like I don't know if Karen Page is coming back. I'm guessing Fozzie will come back because I think you need him.
I did hear some recast, but I forget which
Okay.
one. Is it Elektra they're recasting? I thought I heard that.
Yeah, they
Oh.
said it was Elektra they're going to recast.
Okay.
Which
She's-
boo.
She's still alive. Like
I can't remember now.
it's Elektra.
They're gonna
Like,
recast her.
I'm trying
They're
to
gonna
think.
recast her. She survived.
Wait, did Defenders happen? I need to know, did the Defenders happen? Because
I swear to you, I
I'm
don't
okay.
remember one thing that happened in that series, that
the movie
limited
fell
series.
on Daredevil. I mean,
The Iron Fist. Who remembers that?
I stopped after season 1, I think.
Yeah, man.
season 2
it
was
got a
actually
little
pretty
wild.
good for Iron Fist. I was going in expecting
It got a
really
little
bad.
wild in season 2, man. So it got a little better. Season 1
Yeah.
was kind of a slow burn, and
I
it
think they
just
just
wasn't.
miscast him so bad.
Yeah, it just wasn't all that good. It was all right.
That's a good question for who said it, Rudy, who's enjoyed every Marvel series. Is that also go for Iron Fist, the Defenders, maybe season 2 of Luke Cage? Let us know.
Season 1 of Jessica Jones was good though.
Yeah, it
season
was-
1 is incredible.
With Purple Man.
Yeah. And then Daredevil, like season 1 is epic. Season 2, I think was like okay.
I just saw the
Season
comment.
3 was also epic. I'm behind on comments. Let's get in here. Matt says the guy who's only watching Rings of Power out of the whole lineup snooze fest. What? It's actually the reason I'm not on tonight. It broke my brain with boringness.
Maddie
Overload.
has never read the books, man. Yeah, we lost you for a second.
Okay. I was gonna
Joseph
say,
Montemayor says, Matt, I agree. It's boring. I'm waiting for it to pop up. This slow starting shit is horrible. You
yeesh.
see, you could tell the people that have actually read the books and the ones that are just the casuals. You know,
Yeah.
the we read the books. It's painful, man. Like I was telling Ted, there's chapters on just walking through the forest. You know, it's like it's that slow, man. I'm
It's
glad
it's faster than the books. Yeah.
it's
I have to be honest,
faster
I've
than the
never
book.
read the books, and I just Wikipedia everything.
Yeah,
There's a
man.
fandom wiki for everything. So
You got to really love the J.R.R. Tolkien novels if you've really
I
read
saw
them.
the movie with what's his name, Beast. I can't even think of his name right now, where he played Tolkien, and that was actually really interesting.
Ooh,
Oh,
I
yeah.
forget they did that. I gotta go check that out.
I liked that
Uh,
movie a lot. It was really good.
Oh, we got some comments from Rudy.
Hold on. Jason says,
Yeah.
I think they're using She-Hulk to jumpstart Daredevil's new show by introducing
yeah.
him with a new costume. The show will probably soft reboot with a new costume, so people cannot worry too much about the Netflix shows. I think, yeah, and that's kind of where we're at. The Netflix shows happen. They're not going to say they didn't, but they're not going to say they
Yeah.
did, and that's
Well,
how they're going to treat those.
it's
They
funny because
did,
it's
and
kind of
moving on.
like the original Incredible Hulk, where they were saying from originally they said Hulk, Eric Bana's Hulk to Edward Norton's Hulk. We're soft rebooting it, but we're not because we don't want to tell the origin story again.
No,
But they still make
So
references to Ed Norton's Hulk.
yeah, and they
yeah,
do.
but they don't with Bana,
Yeah,
and I
they
think
don't.
that's kind of key. They don't talk about it, but it kind of happened, and it
No
kind of
pun
led to the
intended,
next
but
one.
Banna's version of Hulk was an abomination.
You gotta love, dude. You don't love Lime Green Hulk? Come on now.
I didn't care for the dogs that got mutated either, dude. Don't forget that. Don't
Hey,
forget
you
that.
know what? That was solid CG at that time.
Man, that
20
was
some
all
odd years ago.
Ghostbusters. I'm surprised. All I thought was the Hellhounds from Ghostbusters when that happened.
No,
Right?
man.
Joseph says, Iron Fist says Maddie's not live. How do
No
you know
doubt.
about that?
No doubt.
Rudy says, I saw all but the Defenders. I like them all. We'll go back and watch the Defenders, but Jessica Jones is my favorite of them all. Even better than Daredevil by a smidge. Ooh.
And it
You know
can't be
what?
because of the way she looked, right, Rudy?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What?
I don't know. Season 3 of Daredevil was really,
No, they all
really
have
good.
crushes on Jessica Jones. That's why.
No Punisher fans. Like seriously, that first season of Punisher was like epic. It was
No, it
so sadistic and
Very well
brutal. Like I
cast.
loved it. Yeah. Maddie says you can't spend 700 million on a show that's only good for people who read the books, though.
That's true. You can't say
Yeah.
that's wrong.
But those are the diehard fans. That's why it's a labor of love, man. You got to love it.
One's in the chat. One from Con Culture. Our buddy Juan. Go check out the Con Culture podcast. He says it is the basis of all modern fantasy. There is no Game of Thrones or Harry Potter without Tolkien. Absolutely, sir.
True
Yeah.
that.
Bravo. Facts. Rudy says so. The Daredevil reveal is not a new costume. Daredevil's original costume was yellow with red trim, so it's going to be rebooted.
Yep.
Maybe a soft reboot, but either way, it's going to be Daredevil from the beginning of the comics. Ooh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Oh, that's what we all were kind of saying. You know, it's like a soft reboot, not a.
Well, also in
hard
the
reboot.
comics recently, he went back to the yellow suit for a little bit too.
Yeah.
So it's not all far off.
Everybody's here. David Lozano talking rangs. Yeah, pretty soon. Actually, we're
Yeah.
trying to finish up She-Hulk, but we got off on a tangent. Juan says Jessica Jones was amazing. Absolutely.
So the Iron Fist Nightlife was the best comment of them so far.
So far, he's winning. Yeah. Jason says, did anyone think Hulk dogs when she was fighting the demons? No, that didn't cross my mind.
It didn't cross my
The
mind.
demons
but,
was interesting though.
yeah, exactly.
Juan says, the hell you can't. It is a confirmed soft reboot. Yes.
Okay, so it is confirmed.
We're all on board. We're all
Okay.
on board. It's a soft reboot,
Yeah,
meaning
okay.
like they're not going to talk about the Netflix stuff, but they still kind of happen. Like we're not. I don't think this is Daredevil's first time as Daredevil. I think we're all in
You
that
cannot
agreement.
do that. You can, yeah.
No. And Rudy says, "Great show. Gotta run. Keep up the great work. We appreciate you, Rudy.
Yeah, thanks for
Go check
watching,
out.
Rudy.
Yeah, where
Sweep the
can you
league.
find that
Make sure you
show?
check out Sweep the league. No,
Absolutely,
Ted, you froze for a second, then you came back.
it's all good.
See, I don't
Juan
know if I'm
says,
freezing or he's freezing, so I'm just like crap, and I'm looking at my bars to
Daniel's
make
gonna
sure
be
that they're
talking.
good.
He's just gonna be.
So I'm trying to like make sure I don't make an odd face like when I freeze or something like that.
Every time Ted freezes, we should have an audio drop with
well,
Arnold Schwarzenegger saying
we should have
"freeze."
we should have played
we'll do
shots
it.
every
Yeah,
time he
drinking
freezes.
game.
We play
That's what it's
shots.
about.
Oh man, you'll
Drinking
be drunk
game.
by the end of the episode, man.
Well, that's what I'm doing every time I freeze. So we'll see how it goes. Juan says they happen in a different universe. Really?
That could happen.
That would be interesting. I want to wait for more concrete evidence of that. I'm not saying
My
you're
only
wrong.
thing is the Netflix series directly referenced Avengers. So
They
unless you say it happened in a different universe too, this just went this way, But
Why
yeah.
can't they just say it happened in the same universe and it was just in a different time? You know,
I think the only problem is that you have to commit that Iron Fist happened. That's the only thing.
true enough.
Wano says the fourth wall breaks in humor are very similar to the comics. Absolutely. Those are perfect. I'm glad they did it. Don't mind it whatsoever. Rick, our buddy Rick's in the chat, says it was okay. Don't really watch She-Hulk though. No worries, Rick. Go Sharks. Juan says, yes, but Avengers events happen across many different universes. True. And then there's also some where they don't, like in Doctor Strange 2, where their Illuminati was sort of like the Avengers team that took down Thanos.
It's
So
already
yeah,
set up.
it's
Yeah.
all I'm saying is I won't jump to any conclusions before we hear from Charlie Cox and we hear about who his partners or who his friends are and all that good stuff. I
I'm surprised
think
we haven't gotten any references in the Doctor Strange, like the Multiverse of Madness, that they
about
didn't
who
go ahead and reference King Thanos. He actually won. That would have been pretty dope. I mean, they
Yeah.
referenced the faction of the Avengers who actually defeated him that weren't the ones that we knew. It was the Illuminati. Why couldn't they reference King Thanos?
Joe, in 20 years, we're gonna have a King Thanos, and he's gonna murder all the Avengers in another universe. Like Marvel's been planning all this for like since 2010. Like they understand what they're
We'll
doing.
see.
We're gonna see Thanos again, and he's gonna be even worse the next time. So yeah, it's gonna happen. Just watch. Just wait. Just wait and watch.
I like Juan. He's cool, man.
David says, I think Game of Thrones, She-Hulk, Rangs are all watchable. I'm with Dave.
Ranks.
I'm with
Right.
Dave. I'm enjoying
Ranks.
them. I'm enjoying them all for what they are. Yes, buddy, go Sharks. I'm enjoying them for what they are. They're all doing things very differently, but I like certain aspects of everything. The problem with this show right now is Joe's hat.
Don't
Oh
be
man,
hating, man. You know
don't
what?
jinx it.
Everybody always
Don't
has something
jinx
to
it.
say about the Cowboys, but I guarantee if you're watching on Sunday and you're not a Cowboys fan, you are now.
Juan says, "Yep, King Thanos with Hulk as his pet dog, and
Yeah,
Kang is going to be way worse than Thanos." Agreed.
I think so.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I've been saying this for years before they ever announced Kang the Conqueror was making his way to the MCU. I said if they ever face Kang, they're going to have a much harder time dealing with him, especially now that there's no Tony Stark. But you got like Shuri, and you got these other brainiacs that are getting into the mix. But no, Kang's tech is second to none. So they're going to have a rough time for many years. But we'll see how that goes. Awesome. Any final thoughts on She-Hulk episode 5? I'm not even theorizing. I'm just going along
Yeah.
with the story. I'm
Yeah.
enjoying it for what it is. I have no idea why Daredevil's getting involved in this. Maybe he needs help with something.
Who knows? Maybe
Perhaps,
it's the
but
end
we'll
at the
see.
end of this season he'll make a short cameo. I just think they're just trolling the fans right now. Just enjoy it for what it is. It's just a comedy, man. It's a sitcom. It harkens back to the old, you know, 80s and late 90s of the era of the sitcom, man. Just don't ask questions, just enjoy it.
Right.
I want a shirt of those Avongers though. That was pretty sweet. the
Yeah,
knockoffs,
Wongers.
The Longers. I was like, what?
the Avongers, or what was the other one? That you had two different kinds. He
Like
says I
Avengers, I think it was like Iron
of
or something
oh
like
yeah,
that.
with the iron
Yeah.
Avengers. Ben Rollins says, "Spoiler alert, LOL." Let's see here. There's a power that's coming up soon. Juan
Ted's freezing
says
again. Take a shot.
they are both lawyers and cross paths in the comics a lot. Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Uh, Rick says, I can tolerate Joe's opinion on the Cowboys, hate them big time. Jason says, I know people want to compare rings to dragons, but they are different vibe and rating. Very different vibe,
Yeah.
especially if you cost last week's episode between uncle and niece. Juan says, I'm thinking West Coast Avengers are going to be a thing also since she is based in Cali. That could be a thing. I'm also waiting for the new
Could be.
Avengers. When are they going to come around? Ben says, I will have to give it another try. If you're talking about She Hulk, give it another try,
Yeah.
but think of it as Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Seinfeld in the MCU. Don't think about anything else. Kramer and all the other cats and Jerry and all that. Just Seinfeld in the MCU, and you might enjoy it a little bit more. Jason says, I think She Hulk will have to defend Daredevil in court. Ooh,
Who
that's
knows?
interesting. I like that idea.
I would
I
really
like that
like
idea
that
a
to
lot.
happen. I think that would look good.
Right? And for what? That's the big reason. What?
Or like
That's the big
indecent
question.
exposure or something like that. Like something dumb.
Rings makes Dragon's production value look like a high school play. Yeah.
Well, they spend a
Ben
lot of
says
money on it,
yes.
so it should.
Ben says yes, he'll do his best, and Rick says he loves Seinfeld. Well then, Rick, if you like Seinfeld, let me tell you, pretend Kramer is green and female, and
Oh,
you
come
got yourself
on.
She-Hulk. Awesome. Those were our thoughts on She-Hulk episode 5. Let me know what you guys think about it. Either drop your theories about what's going to happen coming up, when Daredevil gets into the mix in the chat, or you can send us a message on Facebook as always. Or if you're watching this or listening to this on our podcast form, send us an email on the contact page of our website at www.countdowntothegeekcast.com. Ben
Chat's
says
alive tonight. I have to give him that.
chat is rocking. I was like, we're going on kind of late, but no, we're not. Ben says it's sad my 7-year-old gets bored with it. Yeah, I agree because it's all about like
Walking.
adulting and dating and like Tinder and like yeah, your 7-year-old's like I don't give a crap about any of this.
And yes,
Yeah,
if anyone's asking, I have to play with something in my hands. I can't keep my hands. So today we're getting Dragon Sword power. So that's what's gonna happen.
we're just happy it's a Dragon Sword this time. All right,
Yeah, if
moving
everybody's
on.
enjoying it. They're enjoying watching the show right now, and they're interacting with us. Give us some likes, man. Give us some love.
Yeah.
Throw them likes out there. And I apologize, Joe. We will get to Rings of Power in our third segment. But real quick, we're gonna skip over to House of Dragon episode 5,
You got to call it
titled
Hot D in honor of Maddie.
Hot D.
Hot
Because
D.
Matt's not here. Because Matt's not here, we'll call it Hot D, and
Iron Fist hot
because
tea.
that's what he would call it. All right, episode 5. Let's see here. Episode 5 goes a little something like this. We open the episode on Daemon Targaryen murdering his wife, Lady Rhea Royce of the Vale. Pure Daemon right there. Pure Daemon. Otto is sent off, but not before he warns his daughter Alicent of what will happen if Rhaenyra is crowned. The king proposes a marriage between Rhaenyra and her cousin Laenor, son of Lord Corlys Velaryon. Sir Christian Cole isn't too thrilled with being Rhaenyra's side piece. Queen Alicent figures out she's been lied to. The king's health deteriorates even further despite throwing a lavish party for the new bride and groom. Uncle Damon looks to collect his wife's inheritance, dead wife's inheritance. Sir Cole won't let anyone named Joffrey hold any power over him, and the king lives long enough to attend the wedding, but that may very well be the last thing he does. Awesome. What a crazy episode. But I enjoyed it immensely. Joe, your thoughts on episode 5? We Light the Way.
Yeah, episode 5 was a bit wild, man. You know, he had a lot of the consequences, so to speak, of what happened in the prior episode. You know, I think Rhaenyra is still young and she doesn't understand the consequences of her actions, and now that Sir Christian is smitten by her and having to watch her, travel across the ocean or the sea here to go ahead and meet uh, her boo, who she's gonna soon be married to. We start finding out some other things, and on this journey, you see that the king is not taking the ship ride too well because he's getting seasick, and not only that, but he is looking rough, man. Even when he cat down, and he was there talking, about his daughter and, their prenuptials and all, the finality of things, whoa, before we go ahead and agree to this, let's get some details ironed out. He's just coughing. He looks awful. They asked him more than once, do you need a chair? And he's like, no, I don't need a chair. I'm fine. You know, and he was barely standing up. But the thing is that I think the whole thing came out of it is he was willing to go ahead and have the children take the father's last name, but he says once they go ahead and rule as king or queen, that they're going to be a Targaryen, so they're like, okay, we'll take that as a compromise. But you start learning a lot of other things about this whole episode, man. That to me was wild, man.
Yeah, what do you say to that? Like, you can't be like, "Oh, that's not enough," but it's like, all right. I mean, I guess I get to be grandpappy to the heir to the throne anyway, so it's like, yeah, I'll just take what you can get.
Yeah, but then you learn like Rhaenyra's new uh I guess husband to be, you learn more about his sexual orientation as the mom and the dad are talking, and they're like, well, he's not really into into girls, and then he has his side piece there as part of the I guess the royal inner circle. They're okay with it, which is it's cool, man. I mean, they love their son no matter what. I think that's what the whole uh episode was really showing, hey, they're going to love their kids no matter what they do, but there's always consequences to their actions, and Rhaenyra and her new boo, they have this what do you call this? I guess an understanding is what they said. They called them their paramours,
Yeah, you could feast however you want, just so long as we're married.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess he didn't really keep it a good secret. His parents knew,
Oh yeah.
Rhaenyra knew, like everybody knew about this already. So, like, I don't know, it's cool.
I think it's
Um,
just that the theme is like marriage is just in the title, but I guess it's known that they're doing it just because they're doing it because they have to, to go ahead and
it's
keep
their
the kingdom
duty.
going. Yeah,
Yeah.
for power and prosperity and all that. But I think it's known that at these times when these marriages are, they're not for love. They're doing, like I said, to just help the kingdom, but they're allowed to kind of do their own thing, and keep it hush hush.
And Rhaenyra, I have a little bit of sympathy with. I have a little bit of sympathy for her because you say she doesn't understand the consequences of her actions. If she were to do anything other than marry this guy, the consequences would be more dire. Like, she's talking
Yeah.
about losing the throne, her family losing the throne, the city being attacked. Her doing this alone saves the millions of civilians in King's Landing, from ever being attacked from like an outside force. So she feels like she's doing the right thing. She knows that she has to do it, and yet one person right there is just not okay with it, and that's Sir Christian Cole, who's really not okay with anybody knowing his secrets. That was surprising, and
That's what I was talking about,
it
Ted,
was
about
also
the
shocking because
consequences.
you didn't really know what or who was being attacked for a little bit of time.
Yeah, that was
And
weird. Yeah.
yeah, I was just like, "Oh my god, what's happening? Somebody tell us! Hurry up! Hurry
And
up!"
she made Sir Christian go crazy with jealousy. Not only is he wanting to go ahead and he's telling the Rhaenyra, hey, let's just go ahead and leave together, not tell anybody where we're going. We can wed for love, and she's like, dude, it was only one time. Like she has other interests that she has to uphold. She has the kingdom that she's going to rule at one point in time, and she just can't go off like that because I think he doesn't understand about how deep the responsibilities are, to run a
Yeah.
kingdom. She might be smitten with the guy, she might love him, this and that, they're going to go have their fun, but at the end of the day, she's not willing to just turn her back on everything that she knows, and she doesn't want to just do that to her father or to all the other people of the realm.
The
I don't think,
kingdom.
yeah, I don't think Sir Christian understands that. What he's doing really is showing a bit of selfishness at this point, because he wants to go ahead and leave, and he wants her to give up everything, and he's just smitten with her right now. And as I said, having him be there with her the whole time and just being able to see all this interaction going on with her new boo and all the the pageantry that's going on, and him trying having to keep his secret, and then the queen calling him in and asking him. And the thing is that he dived himself out. She wasn't going to even ask him about him. She hadn't even had any inkling. She was going to ask him about Damien,
You
and
talking about
as
Allison, right?
Allison, yes, she
Yeah.
wasn't going to tell him anything about, hey, I know what you've been doing. She was going to ask, hey, did she do anything with Damien, whatever? And he's like, no, it was I. I'm like, damn, bro, you just
That's
threw
Yeah,
just
he
good
yourself
was
writing,
out
all
though.
there
out.
like that.
Yeah.
That's just good writing.
Yeah.
Daniel, what are your biggest takeaways from episode 5?
Seemed like this episode was a lot about relationships ending. I think that's the best way to put it. You start off with Damon and his wife, who we have not seen at all. We just keep on referring to her, and we're all wondering, like, is this his wife? Like, no, no, we actually see the wife now. Uh,
Wife is a badass dude.
yeah, but I mean, I almost wonder because I saw the little behind the scenes kind of explanation after, and they're like, did Damon actually mean to go and kill her, or
Yeah.
did he just seize the opportunity? Which I
No,
think
he
is an
meant.
interesting question.
I
I
think he
really,
meant to go there.
well, he was ordered to go there. He was ordered to go to the Vale in the last episode, so he went. And then that happened. So, fast forward to Rhaenyra and the Queen when you talked about Sir Cole being, you know, outing himself, his relationship with Rhaenyra to the Queen, and I think that's going to be our biggest development this episode. Is the Queen is like, no, Rhaenyra lied to me. I'm Aegon should be king. I think that's going to be our biggest takeaway from this episode.
Yeah, well, you
Um,
saw the conversation she had with her father.
Yeah, I mean, and she was still on the fence at that time. But when she
Yeah.
found out that Rhaenyra lied to her and was not telling, because she swore that nothing happened with anybody. That's what she swore. So when she found out that she was lied to, she's like, no, like you lied to me. I'm done. I'm not. I don't trust you as queen. So
It's war
I'm
now.
going to push my son. My son Aegon is going to be king. So
Well, I think it's even worse, right? Because what's the last thing I kind of left this out, but one of the last things we see in this episode is actually Alicent stopping Sir Cole from killing himself.
yeah,
And whether or not she knew he was about to do that, I think is sort of not the point. I think she's actually seeking him out for another reason. Rhaenyra, you had my dad get banished for your lies, so now
yeah.
I'm gonna take your man. I'm gonna take your man because he don't want you no more. So she's gonna
No,
give Sir Cole
I don't know.
something else to live for. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this is
That's an idea.
revenge, baby. Yeah, she's gonna
And
figure out a way to, because the king is gone now. Whether or not Allison knows that, I think is up in the air. But the king is probably now gone. I think that's what we're supposed to know and understand from the way this ended. King
no,
is
you
gone.
you didn't stick around for the little
he
snippet
doesn't
of.
watch the trailers for the new
Oh,
episode.
I don't
okay.
watch the trailers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Damn
man.
it. Damn it, Joe. That's okay.
Yeah.
So he's close to his deathbed. Let's just say that then. If he's
Oh, he's
not
not
dead,
well. He's
dead.
definitely not well.
No, he's on his way out. He's got one foot
Yes,
out the door.
unwell.
But I think Alicent is now going to take her revenge out by seducing Sir Cole. What's better than the princess? The queen. So,
And
take that
and
for
you were
what it
talking
is.
about jealousy earlier. I mean, you can talk about Sir Cole's jealousy of this. I don't think he's jealous of Joffrey. I think he's jealous of the
No.
situation.
I think he
But
was I think he just didn't want to be sort
yeah,
of
well, he's our
have
white knight.
anyone have
He's
that
been
power
corrupted.
over him.
He's our white knight that's been
He's
corrupted.
you're right. And he's almost being blackmailed. So now that
Yeah,
more people know that he's not this, knight in shining armor anymore,
Yeah.
he has no honor basically. It's just it threw him off. He was already like about to go over the edge that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Then
Yeah.
he just went ape shit on this dude. So poor Joffrey. I love though how they did the the mannequin. Like his jaw was completely like flimsy. If you just saw like him
Yeah.
kind of knock it over, his head was completely, his face was smashed in, and then his jaw was like
Yeah.
falling
Well,
apart. I'm
he
just
was
like,
hitting him
holy
with
crap!
his hands, and they were all armored up.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
I'm like,
But one thing I
come
took
on.
away was Rhaenyra. Hey, Colbane. Hey, Colbane Games is a friend of mine. Um, Rhaenyra, I think the queen is very jealous of Rhaenyra because Rhaenyra gets to, have her cake and eat it too while she's with the king, and she's there because she was pushed to be there for her family.
Yeah.
Rhaenyra gets to have her relationship that she wants and gets to be queen too. So I think a lot of the issue right now is going to be, or going forward, is going to be the battle between Rhaenyra and the queen.
And Alicent, yeah.
absolutely.
What happened too with them? What they were talking about too at the dinner is when Alicent interrupted the king and mid speech, and he just stopped and just looked at her, and she was dressed in green,
Yeah.
and they're like, what color is the flames at the high tower when they want to start war? They go, it's green, and she came out there on a mission. She's sending
Mm-hmm.
a message. I think it's a message to Rhaenyra, like, you know what, this is war now.
And
You know
Rhaenyra
what?
saw it for sure.
Yeah, and she's
Rhaenyra
like, I'm
definitely
gonna go ahead
saw it.
and take care of my own interest, and you no longer align with that anymore. So the queen is gonna go ahead and look out for herself and for her children. She does not care about Rhaenyra, and she's gonna see to it that her son is gonna be the ruler, the next ruler, not Rhaenyra. So
Yeah.
some weird stuff is about to happen. Some treacherous stuff is about to happen. And not only that,
Some
but with Sir
treachery.
Christian, now in front of everybody beating Joffrey to death, and leaving him just like a pile of meat there, unprovoked at that as well. He just now committed murder in front of everybody. Now, I'm not saying that, this is something that people are going to take a blind eye to, but there is going to be some consequences. And what that thing at the end, when you saw Allison coming in and saving Sir Christian, I think she's going to help him flee and just leave the kingdom, you know, because she can use him at another time. That information of him having that little fling with Rhaenyra is valuable. It might come in as the ace, up your sleeve at some point in time. So you want to keep the brother alive, So if you go ahead and keep him alive and let him go free and pick a new identity, and you know where he's at, you can always come back and use that information at some point in time because he does tell the truth. He does not lie.
That'd be cool if he
Cole,
comes back like in a black coat or like a black armor,
Yeah.
since he's considered the White Knight up until this point. I think that'd be a good little tease right there.
that'd be cool. Cole Bain says, Legacy Nerd, I'm gonna need you to summon that Dragon Zord.
There's no
Now, when you
batteries
get
in it,
through them,
but
yeah, you can only do the little jingle.
Awesome. You guys were talking about one thing that I wanted to mention. Oh, Sir Cole, whether or not there's going to be any sort of ramifications or consequences for this, I think that's up in the air. Why? Because Sir Colis just had his son's side piece get murdered, and his dad could also just be like, you know what, son, it was probably for the best. Now
Yeah.
you can just focus on your wife and women who feel much better than anything else.
I mean, in
How
the
he
last
told his wife.
episode, didn't that
Not my
kid?
words, is what he said. I'm just repeating what he said in the show.
And also in this universe, in the last episode, that kid off that guy or calling him a c word. So
See you
like,
next Tuesday. That's what Maddie said.
so yeah. So if he could just say he was offended, and that's the end of it.
It's the wild, wild west in
Yeah.
Westeros. Apparently, you can get away with murder
But what is the
anytime you
thing
want
that they
now.
always come back to? It says, like, there's always consequences for your actions. Like, they're not a lawless realm. That's what one of the things that I keep hearing again and again. So obviously there's something going to happen to Sir Christian in this next episode. But how ironic would it be if they like bring him out and they just behead the dude in front of everybody? This is how we handle things around here. Justice.
That would be interesting. We'll see what happens. And we also want to hear from you guys out there. Let us know what you thought about episode 5 of House of the Dragon, Hot D, as Matty B calls it. Let us know about your theories going forward in the comments, or you can always email us on the contact page of our website at www.countdownstothegeekcast.com. Cool. I'm enjoying it though. If anybody asks, I'm enjoying House of the Dragon. It's definitely very different from
You gotta
Game
take
of
a shot,
Thrones.
Daniel.
It's definitely very different from Game of
Game of
Thrones,
Thrones,
but
yeah.
I'm enjoying it. I also I kind of heard a spoiler that may have been the last episode of young Rhaenyra.
Well, you didn't
Apparently,
see
we
the
get.
trailer.
I didn't see the trailer, but
Yeah.
somebody
Spoiler alert,
spoiled it
we
on
can
social
confirm
media.
that. We can confirm that.
It's gonna happen very soon. So
Next
and
episode,
which
Ted.
is a shame. That's the only thing I don't wish they didn't do. I don't wish that they had sped up the timeline so much. Maybe it makes sense in the grand scheme of things. Maybe we'll find out why it makes sense. But
Well, you got to age Aegon.
yeah,
You have to. Because I heard us. Because I'm reminded of something Joffrey said in Game of Thrones of what Aegon does. So, the series is already ruined for me. But I'm just along for the ride now.
there you go. There you go. I never listened to anything that came out of Joffrey's mouth.
He said some
I'm
messed
just kidding.
up stuff that it's apparently coming all full circle now. Like,
Right?
yes, that guy was man. I guess like Joffreys and weddings don't go well together. Weddings in this
No.
universe don't go well together at all. Like, just don't have a
No.
wedding.
Do not have a wedding.
And did you see how bad the grayscale had progressed on the
Yeah.
king? I mean, it looked. I mean, almost
his
the
arm.
whole arm. Yeah.
Yeah,
And the ironic thing is, the easy way to just cure it is you're supposed to slice the infected piece of flesh off, take that upper piece off, and then the treatment is made out of pine. I'm like, it's
yeah.
that simple, dude. Like, who would have thought? You don't have to suffer like this.
And you notice that the Maester didn't want to do the effective treatment because the leeches work.
The leeches
So,
work.
I mean, it could be something that comes back later that the Maester is part
You
of this.
know.
I'm starting to, the new Hand of the King, which I thought seemed really cool. In the first couple episodes, like the most level-headed, is now making those little cockeyed when things happen, and then you're like wondering, like, where is he actually at now?
Yeah, that's one thing I was thinking about. Like your old hand, you couldn't trust, but you already knew what his intentions were.
Yeah,
So like
the enemy,
you had that advantage going for you. This new hand, you have no idea what he wants. So you're even more vulnerable than you were before with the last guy.
Yeah.
Maddie says Damon is now being played by Michael Keaton. You got to watch the trailer. Said, I don't believe you, but in case
I'm
you're right,
Batman.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, why don't you watch the trailers after the episode, man?
You know why? Because then I get anxious and to wait for them, and I don't want to get anxious and wait for them. Like I want to see them now. If I watch the trailer, I rather just step away. Most of the time, I just won't watch a show until like the last few episodes come back, and then I'll start binging it. Not Breaking Bad. Better Call Saul. I didn't watch the final season until the last string of episodes got dropped. Same thing with Walking Dead. Walking Dead, the final season is here. New episodes start next month. I'm not watching this season until those episodes start because who wants that huge gap in between episodes in the middle of a season? I don't
I have
want
not
that.
watched Walking Dead since season 3.
I'm going to see it through. I'm gonna see it through. I invested so much of my time. It's been over 10 years now, and I also promised Ross Marquand I'd watch it, so I have to watch it now. It is
I'm
what
waiting
it
for
is.
Invincible season 2. If we're talking about Robert Kirkman, that's what I want.
There you go.
Invincible season-
Which Ross Marquand also said is even worse than season 1. How
Really?
that's possible, I have no idea, but
That's a good
we'll
show.
see what happens. Great show. Final segment of the day is all about the Rings of Power, episode 4. Throw my keyboard here. Rings of Power, episode 4, The Great Wave. And it goes a little something like this. We start in the island of Numenor, where tensions grow and the queen has seen a tragic vision. She later shares this vision of Numenor's destruction with Galadriel. We meet Adar, who spares the life of Arondir only if he delivers a message to the remaining men in the watchtower in the Southlands. Upon his way back, Arondir finds Theo, who went scavenging the village for food, but who's now on the run from a horde of orcs in search of a sword hilt he carries. We we learn that the dwarves have found Mithril. Joe, you and I were actually talking about something else the last time, but it was
Yeah.
actually Mithril, and then a collapsed mine forces them to end their activities searching for this mighty ore. The episode ends with Queen Miriel declaring her support for Galadriel. Numenor will send people to the Southlands to fight off the orcs. Amongst those who volunteer is young Isildur. So awesome. We are now building towards a major conflict, and it's one where we kind of know how it ends, but that's not going to stop me from watching. But Daniel, we'll start with you this time. Your thoughts on episode 4 of Rings of Power?
Well,
And I know you only saw half of it, but yeah.
Yeah, I only got to see half of it because I realized it was an hour and 10 minutes, and I got to the 40-minute mark. My lunch break was over. So, what I got to the point where there was a issue in the mine with Prince Durin, and I have to say, so far, because I didn't see any Harfoots this episode yet. I don't know if they actually
No, there
came in or
wasn't
not.
any. No.
Okay, good. Well, that's gonna be a good episode. Um, So I'm really enjoying Elrond and the dwarves. I think that those interactions are really good. I really enjoy them, and I actually like Elrond more than I thought I was when I first was introduced to him. Because the episode started with the drowning of I can't know, Numenor.
Numenor, yeah.
Okay. Oh man, they're gonna come after me tonight. Just watch.
You're good.
So,
You're good.
and I was like, "Are we already there?" And I was like, "I know the city has to drown before Isildur becomes king, so it's got to happen soon." Um, what I've seen so far is good. I reiterate this from last week from being in your chat and being a viewer is the only part I'm really not enjoying is the Harfoot stuff. That's the only part I'm not enjoying because I just don't see how it contributes to the story yet, and it's really really slow. So um, I'm interested what Adar really is because they keep on calling him father, and I'm kind of skeptical to say if that's actually Sauron or not. So, but I am also trying to figure out what is going on with that sword and that hilt. It's really interesting.
Right?
Like
so many interesting questions. Yeah.
I just want to go like I kind of want him to go like thunder, thunder, thunder cats, and it just like totally powers him up. Or what else? I have the power. But oh, that'd be so cool. Someone goes, I have the power, and they go rings.
I'm down. That'd be awesome.
But I think so far I'm enjoying the dwarf story. Out of all the Lord of the Rings, I think the dwarves are my favorite people. I think they're the most interesting and the most funniest and most bravest because I just think they're interesting. But I'm trying to remember how Prince Durin is related to the hobbits.
Gimli?
From the dwarves from the Hobbit. Gimli is like a nephew to one of the dwarves in the Hobbit, but I think Prince Durin is like a grandfather to. Oh my God, what is he? Oak Shield. Oak and Shield. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
So I'm trying to remember that connection. The mithril seems like I remember that the mithril is what makes the dwarves like filthy rich, but I can't remember why the dwarves are no longer rich by the time they get to the Fellowship of the Ring.
They've all been killed off, weren't they? Well, at least the mines were. The mines
that one mine was. That one
mine. They were all ransacked.
But then their other home gets inhabited by smog because of their their greediness, and their lust for gold and treasure and all that.
So I mean, my takeaway this episode, what I saw was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoy Elrond. The Galadriel, she seems a little really pushy, like a very pushy elf. She's like, I want something, I'm gonna get it. So, but I am curious to see how is Isildur? How do you say Isildur?
I- Isildur.
Isildur grows as a character because we know
We know
where
who he
his
is.
story ends, and
Yeah.
I want to see, because it still sounds like, according to the stories, like he was a great warrior and a great king up until that point. So I'm sure there was going to be kind of like a Darth Vader moment where we go dun 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 dun, and he just doesn't do something he's supposed to do. So that's my takeaway. I think they have a lot more story to tell, and hopefully it's just not any more Harfoots. I'm good with that.
Sounds good, man. Joe, what about you? Your takeaways and your overview of episode 5.
Yeah, one of the things that
Sorry,
really
4.
caught
Episode 4.
yeah, one of the things that caught my attention was Isildur when he was on the boat, on the ship, and they were all working, as one whole unit to go ahead and, get the sails tightened up. And you saw everybody busy working on the deck with ropes and whatnot, trying to, like I said, make the ship go.
Yeah,
And he held one of the ropes that was gonna go ahead and get taut the sail, to go ahead and help enable the ship to steer. And right as he's holding onto that rope, he hears his name in the wind breeze, very lightly. And he thinks about it, and then he lets the rope go. So that had consequences of not only him getting uh kicked off the I guess the being a sailor on a ship. I don't know exactly what it was. It was a certain phrase that they called it, but he was part of this crew. And not only him, not only did they ask him to leave, but they also asked his two friends that were there with him, because hey, your friend messed up, and because he did, you guys are no longer a part of this crew. So they feel a certain way about that. But I think that whole dynamic there, that whole scene, just shows that he's fated for this, to meet and banish the one who rules everything with the one ring, which is going to be Sauron. Um, so I thought that was interesting there. They right away made it known that this guy's fated. That this is going to be his destiny. Um, and the other part of that is just seeing how the whole dynamic goes, because the one guy who is a king of the Southlands, and he's in jail, and then Gadriel winds up joining him because, like you said, she's a pushy elf, and he starts, seeding these little ideas in her head, and like, well, you haven't seen the king. I wonder why. I wonder what's wrong with him. What are they hiding? So she decides to, okay, I'm going to go ahead and break free here, because they're trying to take her back, on a ship. We're going to take you and drop you off over there in the land of the elves. She breaks free and goes up there and breaks through the glass. I'm going to find out what's going on with the king. And much to her dismay, she sees the queen there trying to just have a moment with her father, who is very ill, and is basically looking like he has Alzheimer's or something. Like he doesn't remember, he doesn't know where he's at, very incoherent, and she's just there caring and tending to her father, which she doesn't want to make this known to everybody else, because she doesn't want them to see her father that way.
sure.
She's ruling in his place and keeping things going, while he's just sick, in the tower, and she doesn't want everybody to see him. So now Gadriel's kind of got egg on her face. They're like, oh, well, I can't get mad at you for wanting to take care of your dad.
My bad.
My
Yeah.
bad, you know. So she starts talking to the queen and whatnot, and then she's like, well, no, I'm not getting. Basically, she just tells her, I'm not getting involved. Bottom line, I'm not getting involved. I'm gonna send you on your way. Good luck to you. And then all of a sudden, Teddy, what happens? They look at the
They
tree,
got
and
involved.
it's
Yeah.
a sign, you know. And she's like, no, I take it as a sign. We're going to join the fight, and there you go. That's how the episode ended. But one of the interesting aspects of this whole episode, too, was Adar, Adar, or however you want to say his name.
Adar. Yeah.
You finally learn that he is an elf, and he's helping the orcs, so he believes in their cause. He's been turned to the dark side. And the kid, I forgot the kid's name, the one with that found the dark sword,
Theo.
Thank
Theo.
you, Cobain.
He went ahead and put the hilt, to him, and he learned that if you give it blood, the sword starts appearing more and more. but I'm sure that it has a connection with the people who do that. With the sword, they give it like a sacrifice of their blood to make it come to life. And you learn that the orcs are searching for that sword. Now they know the kid has it, and not only when he comes back, he still has the sword hidden. He sees that there's somebody else that once held that hilt as well, and he's secretly like, hey, let me tell you, kid, there's somebody else that's just like you, and he's kind of showing, I think, Theo, like, this is not a good thing. I think the kid is enamored with what is this thing. He doesn't know what it is, and it looks like it's not looking good
Hey,
for
General
Theo, man.
Kenobi. Sorry,
Yeah.
one of my buddies
Well,
just got in the chat.
yeah, well, those were just my takes from it.
No, solid takes. And then Cole Bain, appreciate you joining the chat. Have a good night to you, sir. General Kenobi.
So he's
Hello
actually
there.
he is a Star Wars knowledgeable aficionado, and he's in San Antonio as
Ooh.
well. So he's another YouTuber in San Antonio, and we actually did a toy hunt together last week, and it was pretty good.
I love it. I love it. There's a
Oh,
bunch
maybe
of
we can have him on when we start discussing Andor.
Dude, I was listening to Talk Star
Andor,
Wars the other day,
Andor
and like
going around.
he
Yeah.
knows the name of every ship and every droid, and he goes deep, man. And he makes me look bad.
Well, maybe he can shed some light on here when we have him on at some point. Me and
Yeah.
him can talk about some of the comics I used to read, Tales of the Jedi, and I was trying to school Teddy about the lizards that actually help repel the Force. You
Oh,
know,
I didn't see. He
yeah,
probably knows about that. I don't know
yeah, he probably does. Not many people do.
So I had a
Jay-
question for you guys. So is that kingdom, or that, I guess, the castle or whatever they live on
Numenor?
in Numenor, that looks like Gondor, right?
No,
With
it
that,
looks like Minas Tirith, which I don't know why it looks just like Minas Tirith, but like the top of the castle has
yeah,
that
I'm talking
extended.
about, I guess, where they had the battle in Return of the King, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so yeah,
Yeah.
and that tree would looks there, like it's the same thing there. So that whole top looks exactly the same. So I'm trying to wonder, like is that still it?
I don't. I mean, it can't be right. It can't be because this is supposed to get. It's supposed to
Drowned.
be destroyed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe
Maybe they
they
get the
just
tree.
they built. Somebody who's a big Tolkien reader will tell us exactly why they look the same. But yeah,
I feel bad because I think there's I'm watching this as a casual fan, and I see the different the things that remind me of the movies and the stuff like that, because that's my introduction to Lord of the Rings. I didn't read The Hobbit. I didn't read the Lord of the Rings. So
Yeah,
these movies are what
you're
I
gonna
have.
you're gonna lose sleep if you read those books, man. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's not something that you take lightly. It's an adventure in its own, just reading those books.
I mean, it could be that they just built an exact replica of
Yeah.
it, because the old one got demolished, so they built it again. Jason in the chat says the theme with fantasy shows are sick fathers with strong-willed daughters.
No
You
doubt.
nailed it. Awesome.
Does Buffy the Vampire Slayer count?
Uh, and then General Kenobi says, "Yeah, Gondor are direct descendants of Numenor, and that's
Yes.
why Aragorn yells Elendil with when fighting the Urukai."
Okay. Apparently,
Yes,
General Kenobi is a Lord of the Rings expert as well.
knows
So.
And he
about
knew the
everything.
name of the lizards. He knew the name of the lizards I was referring to.
Awesome. He said, "Oh, the
The
Salamir,
Salamir.
The
Salamir."
Salmir, yeah. And he probably
Very
knows
nice.
about Naomi Sunrider as well. So again, she was one of the strongest Jedi's.
Here's
He's
what I'm
gonna.
willing. Here's what I'm willing to do, and of course, I haven't read the books that these are inspired by, the old sort of old era of Tolkien's works and all that. But I'm willing to go out on a limb and theorize that Adar is not all of Sauron, right? Because Sauron is like a big not wizard.
It's like a force.
It's a spirit.
Like an entity.
Yeah, that, but he's also like a powerful sorcerer as well. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so what else has happened in this series? Well, we have this stranger who happens to be a sorcerer with no memories. And when I say sorcerer, I also am implying that his power seems to do with more of evil or sucking out the life force of things around him. So he has to have something to do with Adar. So I think the stranger, I think Adar, may or may not be two halves of the same person. I pray for
Are you
that.
going Gold Ranger on them? Did they split into three
Maybe
and they need
that's
to
Hilt.
reemerge?
Possibly. They, Wonder Twins and activate. Anyways,
That would be interesting, though.
yeah, because Adar seems like he, for right now, is just some sort of shell of a man, or some sort of like half man, half orc type deal. Which I don't want to know how that happened, but I think the stranger has something to do with either Adar or whatever that Sauron is trying to do, and his forces are trying to accomplish. And this hilt might have something to do with it. I'm interested on finding out, what the purpose of it is, and this is why the orcs are in the Southlands to begin with. They're looking for this thing, right? That's one of the things that they mentioned.
It's
So
a
it's not
relic. You need it. You need
it
it to
not
summon.
only, yeah, definitely. David's still in the chat. Says
Well,
the secret flame, and also Adar had pointy ears. Ooh, so he's like a
so
excommunicated
there's the
elf.
two different kinds of orcs. There's like the goblin kind, right? They're little ugly kind of
They turn
football
to
heads.
stone upon sun when they get sunlight.
And
Yeah.
then there's like the bigger kind that look like from the Fellowship of the Ring. That was the main one that was
Those
facing
were
us.
like hybrids, cross between man and orc, because that's how they
I
were
thought they said those
able to
were elf
run.
and orc though.
Yeah, they were able to run during the day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys.
but
Yeah,
what I
those
was
guys.
gonna say, what I think happened with the stranger is that when he came in, and you saw him coming from the heavens, it was like a meteorite and it crashed and all that. I think his appearance was because somebody summoned him, you know, and we don't know who that person was, but they need him, and they definitely need that sword. They need that hilt in order to summon something more powerful, and I think that's going to be uh, the tools that you need to really bring Sauron back to life.
Well,
Because
they
you're going to
needed
be a
to turn into
sacrifice.
Lionel because he's just a little small cat.
He's
Then
little.
becomes a bigger cat
Yeah, but I'm
with
just saying, in
muscles.
the way that I think it's going to work is that you need the hilt and you need somebody else to kind of give up who they are, so to speak, so they can become the husk, in which the vessel will live.
Or it just might be the hilt. I mean, from time and time again, there's so much power that are put into inanimate objects, like, the rings, for example. So it could just be once he's, reintroduced to the sword or reunited with the sword, and it makes his first kill, then he'll gain all of his full power back. That could easily be explained if they decide to
Who
do it that
knows? I
way.
mean, why
Or
else
maybe
would you need
Sauron
the
is the
stranger?
sword because I mean he ends up being a
Ooh.
big eye on the top of a tower with fire.
But before he was the eye, he was the
He was a
dude.
physical man,
He
but I
was
don't
the
think he's a
physical
physical. I
in
don't
the
think he has a physical
giant.
body anymore.
It's
Well,
just
we're not there yet, though. We still
Yeah.
have to have that battle where he loses the ring of power to begin with, the one ring that rules them all.
See, and
So we still have to get to that point.
I thought the big battle because they talk about like Sauron will choose like an agent of like one of the man kings or whatever that will uh be his sort of like
yeah.
liaison
There
to
were
the
seven
physical world.
rings.
Yeah, so he has a main like what they call the raider, the wraith.
The wraiths.
Yeah, but one of the wraiths becomes like the general one, and he rides like that dragon and stuff like that. So I thought that the wraith
The
was
Witch
his
King.
connection to the physical world. That's the
That
way
would be
at least that's
interesting.
the way they explained it in the first movie, or at least how I took it.
Yeah, they were all kings at one time. Kingdoms. They would
Yeah.
rule. They were ruling over various kingdoms, and got corrupted by the power within the rings themselves.
Which seems like we have a really short amount of time to do that if we don't have the rings of power yet. And
Right?
Isildur is, in his 20s. I'm assuming at his prime, he's having this fight like in his 40s. So 20
Yeah.
years doesn't seem like a amount of time that
I would
we.
agree with that. He's probably 40 or 50. These type of men actually they age slower,
You're right. You're right.
right? So they probably last 100, 120 years, or at least I'm just throwing a number out there. So
Because the Aragorn
what
said like he
what
was like
looks
90 or something.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So what seems like 40 to us could very well be 70 or 80,
you're right.
because of the way they age differently. David says goblins and orcs are the same thing according to Tolkien. Peter Jackson made them different in the films I heard. If you told me that, I would believe it because I kind of felt that's
Yeah,
kind of the thing where orcs are just all encompassing. So
which
yeah,
would be
I'd go with that.
easier. Yeah,
Absolutely. And they all look fantastic, by the way. Like I love the designs are fantastic. They look incredible. Yeah, loving every single bit of
I
it.
see so much hate on this show. So
You
much
know
hate. I
what?
think I made a comment on one of my friends' posts. Like, I don't understand why people don't like it. Why? Because you're getting more content of something you weren't going to get more content of. You know, and people are just like, because it's not true to the books. I'm like, why? Like, why is it not true to the books? And I don't understand that. Maybe if I read the books and was as in depth in it, but like I look at the Star Wars sequels, for example, and even though they're not as good as some of the other movies we have gotten, they're still in the spirit of Star Wars. You know, so what is not in the spirit of these shows?
I've seen a lot of different things like you have. The one thing that I laugh about is when people say that Galadriel is a Mary Sue, and I'm like,
She's like a goddess. She's already
why?
supposed to be.
This is an elf who's been training her whole life for like one mission, and that one mission was to kill orcs and Sauron. Like, and I don't understand why only females get the sort of validation on what is and what is not a Mary Sue. Was Aragorn a Mary Sue? Was Legolas a Mary Sue? Was Gimli a Mary Sue? Like those cats, all they did left and right was like wreck shit and like kill
I mean,
orcs.
Legolas killed like 30 orcs sliding down an elephant with two
Is
arrows.
is that not a Mary Sue? Where was the backlash? Where was the hate that this guy was sliding down an elephant trunk, murdering giant elephants and orcs left and right? Where was the backlash? No, but if one elf who's a female trains her whole life for one mission to avenge or continue her brother's mission of finding and killing Sauron, then oh, it's the worst thing ever. She's trained for this. That's all she thought about for however
Yeah.
long she's been alive. So
Yeah.
one thing she's only thought about.
Was she
Come
more of a
on.
presence in the books? Because it seems like if her life's mission was to kill Sauron, she was barely in the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Well, she was in the books, and from what I understand, she was even more like of a badass in the books. Am I right,
Okay.
Joe?
Yeah, she was. I mean,
Okay.
in the books, you can go a lot more in depth. Like even in the books themselves, like in the Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring. When you finally get to the end, and you're reading that last book, the Return of the King and whatnot. They actually have, like, if you buy the special editions, they tell you more in depth about what happens with Samwise Gamgee and
Yeah.
everybody else, and it ties up all
I've
the
heard
loose
those
ends
too.
very nicely and tells you how they lived their lives and how they spent the rest of their days and that
Isn't it?
kind of stuff.
Isn't it even how they connected to modern times? Like, because these are supposed to be the old world, and we are.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
basically it's just telling you these were the characters that everybody was enamored with, and they just gives you a little sweet ending, to the things of letting you know how they lived out their lives, and what they did and that kind of stuff, which is cool. They didn't really get to do that in the movies because it was just, it was done for the movie. It was like reading Lord of the Rings on Cliff Notes, you know.
Yeah. I don't understand the backlash. A lot of it has to deal with like I hate to say it, but just casting choices. And it's a fantasy show about goblins and orcs and wizards and warlocks and harfoots and dwarves and elves. Like, why is it the one thing you have an issue with? Like certain casting choices, why that matters to you is beyond me. Whoever's out there clamoring about it.
Well, the fan base
Um,
has always has even taken issue with the inclusion of a elf of color. And the same thing has happened with House of the Dragon. People have taken issue with adding people with of color into the to this whole thing, and that's like, The
Blows my
world is
mind
big
that
and
that's the
diverse.
thing that's not realistic. Oh,
Exactly.
that's where we draw the line of realism.
We can have blue
No,
monsters, but we can't have a black
yeah,
Yeah,
person
it's
elf.
get
like
out of here,
the
man.
world is diverse and unique, full of intricate, and unique people. I mean,
But I
that's what
think
makes
people
the
need to
world.
understand that
Yeah,
when content going forward is going to be inclusive. So they're going to want to see people are going to want to see someone like them in these roles, or not roles, not necessarily just the actor, but inside the story, because they want
yeah,
to visualize themselves in the story. So
yeah.
these Hollywood and whatever you want to call it, content makers, creators, whatever, they're going to be more inclusive because they want us to watch the shows. So if they're going to put a Mexicano on the show and be an elf, they're going to do it so they can
Hey,
get a
I'm
Mexicano to watch
I'm
the
all
show,
about that, man. Let him eat some tortilla on screen or whatever, man.
right? Let's get some chorizo.
I
But
will take a step back though, because I hear about, like, it always, both sides are saying it's about inclusion, it's about representation. I'm going to say sometimes it's just about having a badass actor in the
right,
right place.
yeah,
Sam Jackson was cast as Nick Fury when Nick Fury most of the time was historically played just a white guy in the comics. And yeah, there was like a small run where he was played by an African American guy, but you know who they based that character off of? Sam Jackson.
yep, they
Like
did.
he was
Yeah,
playing the dude they were inspired by
it was the ultimate
in the
version of
first place.
Nick
So
Fury.
it's like, if people got their way and we have to just stay and stick to the comics, we would never have Sam Jackson as Nick Fury. Sometimes it's only about putting an amazing actor or
Yeah.
actress in the
Yeah,
right position at the right time. That's what it is about most of the time. So I'm just, it's crazy.
It
I
could,
we rarely talk about it because it doesn't
yeah.
make any sense. But
It could
yeah,
also be about giving the job to the most qualified person that came in and wowed everybody. There you go.
absolutely. You know what? This is a great transition, so hold that thought. Rings of Power, episode 4. Let us know what you guys thought about it. We want to hear your theories going forward. Drop them in the comments, or you can always email us on the contact page of our website, countdown to the geekcast.com. That is a great transition into our Geeky Weekly headlines, Joe. And the first one that I have up is one that we're all going to rejoice about, and never would have happened if we were just sticking to the comics accurate portrayal of what characters should be. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been announced, and I'm all excited for it. And I know you guys are too. But Keanu Reeves will be reprising his role as Constantine
Yeah.
once again. This is being reported by Deadline, and as I've already mentioned, if we were going by comics accurate,
yeah,
what happens in the comics, you can't stray away from it. We would never have had Keanu Reeves playing Constantine. Constantine is a blonde haired, blue eyed British alcoholic,
bisexual man.
and exactly.
He's everything.
He's everything, but he's not dark-haired Keanu Reeves.
Yeah,
So, um, sometimes it's all about just putting the right person in the right role at the right time. I will just start off this topic and discussion by saying I am a huge fan of Matt Ryan, who plays Constantine on the CW universe, the Arrowverse. I'm a huge fan of what he's done. He's played the role exactly how it should be done in the comics, but I am also just as easily excited about seeing what Keanu could do in this role once again. And he's been wanting it. He's been wanting it for years. So I'm here to say, as a fan, I'm happy to see him get the role again and see what he does with it. Daniel, you and I were probably working at the theater when the first one came out.
I remember
Um,
seeing it at AMC. Yeah,
yeah, what are your thoughts about them coming out with a sequel after all this time?
I really enjoyed Constantine. I know um, I was not a person that was familiar with Constantine or any of the Vertigo stuff back then. So Constantine was kind of my introduction into all that. So I didn't know that what all he was, So the first, if you haven't seen Constantine, the first movie, to get the idea of the movie, you just need the first minute of that movie because it's literally like that the entire movie, and the way it starts is just insane. So, no spoilers, but it's been like 15 years, so you should already have seen it already. But
I feel
I
like it's
feel
been more. It's been like 20. No,
I had to have been like 17 when it came out, so maybe it's been like maybe it's closer to 20. Yeah.
I'm gonna,
So
I'm gonna look it up real quick.
I'm trying to remember. I think maybe I just graduated from high school.
Yeah, and
But
Constantine was one of the first movies to have a post-credit scene.
yeah, and Shia LaBeouf was in it. So is that something that's gonna happen? Like, because
Uh,
he's part of that.
I don't know, man. He's kind of gone off the rails now,
My
so I don't
The
know.
only thing I would like them to see a change is since I'm a big Lucifer fan, and I love the Sandman that we got on Netflix since then. I would like to see more of an accurate Lucifer. That's the only thing I want to see. But everything else was good because he did the exorcisms in the show. He had his cool little tattoos right here, which were cool. The
Yeah, the
angel.
Sandman had his daughter. Didn't they have his daughter in the series?
Yes. Well, even even in the
So
movie,
it
I
wasn't
think
his
they kind of
daughter.
touch on it,
It was his daughter. So what it was
like
another
his
version of
love
Constantine.
interest.
It was another version of Constantine in
You're talking about
the
the
show.
series or the movie?
No, we're talking about Sandman.
Oh, Sandman. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, 'cause
in
his daughter was
In
referenced.
Sandman there's a Joanna Constantine, and it's just another version of Constantine that's not male. That's all it is. So she just fills in. And I'm guessing they probably did that because they're probably going to announce this soon, and not to confuse people.
Mm.
But yeah, the only thing I would love to see another story. I thought the last one was bigger. Like it started off kind of like a small, like we're just getting kind of a small demonic story, ended up being a much bigger story. So yeah, I'm all in. Let's do it. I'll watch it tomorrow. Let's go.
Joe, what about you, man?
Oh no, man, I'm all about it, dude. I've been waiting for a Constantine sequel for quite some time. They did have a series that was short lived. Didn't really live up to expectations, so it kind of went out with ho hum. But you always had hope that somewhere, somehow down the road, that the movie studio would release or give the green light to another movie. And here we are, almost like what 20 years later. Better late than never, I guess. So I'm all for it, man. It'd be interesting to see what direction they're going to go, and if this is just going to just be a one time deal where they just have them come out, or is it going to be several parts to it? Like there's going to be a sequel. Like, is it going to be a trilogy, or what are they going to do with this? I guess it all depends on how well this next movie does.
I think it's definitely going to be a breaking off point into the dark side of the DC universe. I
That
mean,
would be bad,
people
man.
want
Amazing.
Santana. That people want, magic and Etrigan, the demon, and it's a good way to kind of say like we're doing that, but it's just questioning whether they're going to go full on DC with it or not, and I think they probably will.
Yeah. Constantine had
Uh,
a little bit of that like Hellboy vibe. Not the
Yeah,
the newest movie, but the first movie that came out years ago. That kind of that dark grittiness to it.
I'm surprised that movie got made. I am really really surprised that movie got made to begin with. It's just one
Hellboy.
of those the Constantine.
Oh, the
Yeah.
first one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just such a random movie that came out at such a random time. So I mean, I
That
think
that was a time when Hollywood was flirting with other movies that kind of dealt with angels and demons. It was kind of a
they
phase
did
that
the
they went through.
Exorcist prequel at that time. I
Yeah.
remember that.
And they
They
did
did the
some
two
other ones.
versions
They
of it.
did Priest. I think they did that movie Priest around
Yeah, I
that
remember
time.
that.
So that was something that they were flirting with.
Man, you're
They
pulling
did.
out
They did.
old
They did
movies.
Priest. They did Legion. They
Yeah.
did. They did a few of them that were all about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see what I say here. First movie grossed 230 million worldwide as a rated R movie,
What was the
Not
which is
budget?
bad.
You know,
saying something. Budget probably 100 million.
most of it went to Keanu. Man, that Keanu Renaissance is never going away, for real.
You know what? This movie is going to be huge just because of him that
Yeah.
he's back on it. So that's what's going to make it a big movie already. General Kenobi says, "Yes, I'm all in on this," and he also says they covered a bit of Constantine's story and Legends of Tomorrow, but it got kind of campy, not dark enough.
Yeah.
Yes, Legends is campy,
Yeah.
good campy, very good campy, and
But it's hard to put Constantine in it and be. serious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but again, Matt Ryan played it so beautifully that like I almost part of me is like they should meet one time like Keanu's Constantine and Matt's Constantine in a multiverse thing, but we'll see what happens. Jason says noir detective film meets Hellboy. Absolutely. It's exactly what it is. I'm, as I mentioned, all in. Also, I have the soundtrack. The soundtrack was amazing. It features a Perfect Circle's "Passive," which is "Passive" is a song that was first written for the Tapeworm project, which featured Trent Reznor and Maynard James for Perfect Circle.
Is that me
Did
or
I
Ted?
just
I
did I
need to
just
know if
skip
that's
it?
me or Ted.
That was me. That was me. That was
Okay.
me. I will say that again. I also own the soundtrack for Constantine. It featured my favorite band, A Perfect Circle, and their
Okay.
song called Passive. Passive was first written for the Tapeworm project. Tapeworm was a band that never saw the light of day. This is early 2000s, and it was formed by Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails and Maynard James Keenan of A Perfect Circle and Tool, a band that had written songs and those songs never made it out, which is still a travesty to this day. I still can't believe that all after all this time we still have not heard anything except for this one song called Passive, which was sort of the lead of this entire movie. But
Okay.
yeah, great soundtrack,
Have you
great
seen a
vibe
story
altogether.
where Alan Moore? So Alan Moore created Constantine. I think that's correct. But Alan Moore says he met a real Constantine in London at a bar early one morning, and that's what he's basing his Constantine. So he claims that Constantine's a real person.
Ooh, what?
Yeah,
Wow. I love it.
but that's Alan
Uh
Moore's a little weird. So take that with a grain of salt.
you know what? But he wrote Watchmen, so I'm down with
Yeah,
it.
Yeah, I liked Alan Moore and Neil Gaiman. Those were two of my favorites.
he
You know,
hates
he
the
says,
movies. He does not
yeah.
like any movies made of his stuff.
General Kenobi says, yeah, into the Constantine verse. Jason says, I love the animated Constantine movies.
Those are really good.
I'm
Those are really
behind.
good.
I'm behind. I just forgot. You just reminded me about those. And Paxton says, on the CW, Constantine was his own show. They put on DC Legends of Tomorrow. Yeah, they did incorporate it. Also, the only reason why that first Constantine series didn't work, they put it on NBC. Whose
Yeah,
bright idea was to throw it on NBC? The
Well, they
only
were
thing worse would have been what's it called? Not Ken's. CBS. CBS would have been worse. Maybe Bravo. Like there's very few channels that would
I'm
have
pretty
been
sure
worse
it was
than
Constantine
NBC.
was right after Law and Order.
probably they should have put it on. They
Horrible.
should have put it on the Sci-Fi Network. But the thing
Yeah,
is that they were
but
banking on it to be a success because they had another series that was kind of a little bit of dealing with the supernatural, kind of a little darkness to it. It was called Grimm, and Grimm did
yeah,
they did okay. It didn't
yeah.
wasn't like a breakout hit. It did just enough so they could keep bringing it back and back, and it just fizzled out because the ratings weren't there. So they had to end the show, and they're like, "Hey, well, it worked for Grimm. Let's go ahead and put Constantine on," and still didn't work because it was on the wrong network.
I feel like shows that go to sci-fi go to die though. That's the only
Well,
thing.
they would have put these
Because
on. They should have.
Krypton was on sci-fi, and I miss Krypton. That was a good
Crypt,
show.
yeah, Krypton was amazing. They had two good seasons. There was Z Nation. Z Nation, man, talk about campy. Z Nation was something else. If
I
you
think the
didn't
only thing
like
on sci-fi right now is Chucky. It's in season 2.
Chucky,
Well,
Chucky,
back in
which
the
I
day, they
haven't caught
did
up yet.
have
Yeah,
Battlestar Galactica that did
Yeah.
very well.
there you go. There you go.
And the
Getting
rumor is it's
to
coming to the Peacock network too.
ooh,
A
oh
new series.
one last thing on this Constantine deal. So try and keep up with this part. There was multiple Constantine projects that were in the works. There was a Justice League Dark,
Yeah.
sort of like a
With
live
Guillermo del Toro,
action.
right?
Potentially,
Okay.
there's a few things out there. I think J.J. Abrams was also working on a Justice League Dark series for HBO Max. And then there was also an announced Constantine series, which featured a new actor altogether, not Keanu, not Matt Ryan. It's gonna be a completely new actor, a British gentleman. I forget his name off the top of my head, but so all of those right now for this very moment are sort of on the shelf. Doesn't mean they're completely canceled. It just means they're probably not the focus right now. Warner Brothers Discovery wants to make the most money they can. They want big name projects. They want big name people. They want big name stars and characters. So Keanu's going to get all the attention. Constantine's going to get the attention. They're going to fast track this, which I'm totally fine with. And whatever they decide to do, I'm going to be on board. I'm going to watch it. It's going to be cool. Yeah, I love the first one. A lot of the special effects don't hold up as well, but it was also 2005. You know,
As long as we get that like
so
roach cricket guy at the end again, I'm cool with that.
anything. I'm excited. It'll be cool. Moving on to some not so good news. The Craven the Hunter and Madam Web movies have been delayed. Craven is moving back
Sorry.
a lot, going from what was early 2023 to now October 6, 2023, and Madam Web has been pushed back to February 2024, which that entire February month to begin with is usually for like the bad films to come out anyways. So I don't have any high expectations for Madam Web or Craven from anything I've heard so far. There's not big expectations. Probably on par with what Morbius was going to be. So yeah, there you go. Sorry about that, guys. But more movie delays.
I finally saw
What a shame.
Morbius this weekend.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, man, it was bad.
I mean,
it was,
I guess I was expecting it to be so bad. I don't think it lived up to the expectation of being so bad, but it was not good.
well,
It
you
was
did
not.
see Damon from House of the Dragon, you
And
know.
he's good. I want to say he's the highlight of the movie because like he is a good villain. That guy needs to be a villain for the rest of his life because
But
yeah.
the whole storyline, the thing is that Morbius suffered from bad acting, one, and that wasn't from Damien, the actor who plays Damien on House of the Dragon. Um, it was more everybody else wasn't all that great, and then it suffered from a
Yeah.
poor script. It
Yeah.
was just all over the place.
It
It
should
was
have
like
never been made,
it
honestly.
should have just went straight to TV. Like if it would have come out like in the early 2000, late 90s, would have been okay, you know.
I
But
don't even think it's that.
not
I
there
think
anymore.
if they were going to do it, they should have brought him in as a Blade or a Spider-Man villain, and he'd be a
It was
secondary
just bad.
character.
And Morbius is a good character, an interesting
Yeah.
character. So is Craven, but we'll see what
Craven's
happens.
not Craven here. That's not. This is a different version
Yeah.
of Craven.
Like Ted said, it's going to be bad.
It's I don't know what Sony's doing. Do you remember the end credit scene they shoved into Morbius at the end?
It was
Yeah.
I was
bad.
like, oh, stop! Nobody believes you. Nobody's buying this right now. Like, don't even worry about it. We're all out of here. We're already walking out the theater. Don't worry about it.
And Madam Web
Oh
to get
man,
her own movie is just so random and weird.
it's bizarre. It
It's
really is.
it's really like Mary Jane having her own movie. Like
Or
she's a
spin-off.
supporting. Yeah, it's a
I
supporting character.
I'd watch that. To be honest, I saw this redhead over the weekend wearing like the exact Spidey shirt that Mary Jane wears in the comics most of the time. She had her hair done the right way and everything. So I'm just like, yeah, I can see that. Definitely.
You're good with
I'm
that.
good with it. Everybody, thanks for watching. The chat was on fire tonight. Appreciate everybody who was joining the discussion. We want to hear from you guys. What did you appreciate the most? Was it Rings of Power? Was it She-Hulk? Was it House of the Dragon? We want to hear your fan theories. What do you think is going to happen going forward? Let us know in the comments. Or if you're listening to this in podcast form, email us on the contact page of our website at www.countdowntothegeekcast.com. We have a lot of things in store coming up. I'm going to talk about one of them in a second. I'm really excited about. But just to remind you guys, our network, our channel, we produce 3 live shows every week. You can catch the Geekcast every Monday night. You can catch the Ghost Heads radio show. That's their Ghostbusters sort of focused show every Wednesday. This Wednesday, I'm going to be joined by another Ghostbusters chapter here in the U.S. Yes, there are chapters. I'm a part of the San Antonio chapter, and we are right now highlighting all the fantastic charity work these groups are doing, the events that they're attending, and ways that you can support them. So check the Ghost Heads radio show out on Wednesdays. And then on Thursdays, right now, you can catch the Countdown City WrestleCast, the best. Paxton, I see you. He says, "Woo!" WrestleCast is on Thursdays, the best wrestling commentary show you will find anywhere. I would put them up against anyone out there today. They just attended the Mission Pro Wrestling event this past Saturday on September 17th. Mission Pro Wrestling is led by their CEO, the one and only Thunder Rosa. So if you want to hear about how that event went down, check the cast on Thursday,
I see
and they're
Thunder
going to
Rosa's
tell
figure
you
everywhere.
about it. Check out the WrestleCast on Thursday, and they're going to tell you all about the Mission Pro event that went down this past weekend. Awesome. For the Geekcast, we have a lot of great things coming up. There's a lot of great events coming up with my my Ghostbusters chapter that I'm a part of. We will be at the not the Lava Ita, the Arneson River Theater this Sunday on September 25th. I think starting at 6 p.m. for the Ray Feo River Parade. So if you want to come party with a bunch of Ghostbusters downtown on the Riverwalk, meet us at the Arneson River Theater. And for more information, go to Ghostbusters SATX on Facebook to get more details about how you can join us. Also, next week, we will be in attendance for the Fantastic Fest Film Festival, which is put on by Alamo Draft House and takes place in Austin, Texas. I will be in attendance. Joe, I'm going to drag Joe with me, and we're going to check out a bunch of B-level horror movies and sci-fi
Nice.
movies, and it's going to be amazing.
They
So
had some
um,
documentaries thrown in there too, so that was pretty dope.
there's a bunch of cool things. It's going to be exciting. We're stoked. So be on the lookout next week for interviews, movie reviews, and a bunch of content coming from that. And I'll just end there because there's so many things coming at the end of the month and October that it's just too many to list. And we will talk about all that going forward. Daniel, with the Legacy Nerd, you got a live show going down on Thursday. Tell us all about it and tell us what else you got going on, man.
Yes, so I am the Legacy of Nerd on YouTube. You can just search it; it'll take you right to my channel. We are doing a live stream. We're doing a giveaway on this Thursday. I've been trying to give away this Green Ranger figure, Power Ranger Lightning Collection, for a month now. I actually was supposed to give it away earlier this month, but nobody claimed it. So we're doing a show. If you are there, you will get a chance to win it. So if you want to come to my live stream on Thursday at about 8 p.m. Central, if you were there, you'll get a chance to get it. Next week we are having Hasbro PulseCon, so I will be covering that for the Power Rangers panel on Friday if I can get there in time, because I've been told I have a sonogram with my fiance at 8 o'clock in the morning. So if I can get back in that time, I'm going to be covering that live as well. And of course, I have toy hunts coming up. I found some good stuff today. I'm thinking about doing another toy review on one of my Megazords. So follow me on YouTube at The Legacy of Nerd or Instagram on The Legacy of Nerd. I just passed 400 subscribers on YouTube. I'm on my road to 500. So
Congrats.
that's is something, a goal we're trying to hit before the year ends. So I appreciate y'all support.
Go check him out on YouTube. If you're not following his show already, go check it out. Go win that Dragon's or dagger, and
Not the dagger. The dagger's mine. It's gonna be a
oh,
figure.
the dagger.
It's a green.
Oh, the figure.
I don't think I could afford another.
If you get him to 1,000, he will throw in the dagger,
Oh
folks.
my gosh, Ted.
Also, Andor drops on Wednesday. I can't promise you what exactly we're gonna do, but expect an instant reaction coming Wednesday. Dan, if you're game, you can be there. General Kenobi, I'm looking at you. David Lozano, you're probably not on anymore, but I'm looking at you too, man. Andor's dropping this week. I'm stoked. 20, is it 18 or 24 episodes? I think it's 24 episodes of Andor that's coming this way. So like I'm stoked. I can't wait for it. It's going to be exciting. First 3 episodes are dropping, right, Joe, this week?
Yep, 3 episodes.
So much
So
goodness
yeah, a lot
coming.
of stuff
It's
is coming out right now.
amazing. Amazing. What a time. What a time. This is a golden age, baby. This is a golden age right here.
Yeah, I
Awesome.
keep on looking too when I know everybody's gonna watch and they're like, what am I looking at? I keep looking at my pet fish. She's a beta fish. She's a double tail beta, and he's such a diva, man. And as we do the show, he just pops up right next to me because I have his little tank next to me,
Yeah,
and
he's
he's just
doing
there
it.
staring at me the whole time. And he's just a weird ass dude. He's so weird. He's so random, dude. I look at him and he's like hidden, and he's just laying looking like he's dead. And then I look at him and he'll look at me and he just pops up again, like, "What's up?" I'm like,
It's when you're
"Are
talking
you
about the
playing?"
hot D, right?
I think he's just playing dead to get my attention. I'm just like, dude, what's wrong with you?
Awesome. For the Geekcast, we're gonna end on that note. For the Geekcast, my name is Ted, aka Steady. Joining me as always is the man behind the mat, as Joe Garcia.
Yeah, hey everybody, thanks for watching. Greatly appreciate the support. So make sure you subscribe, you like, and share. And thanks to everybody who interacted with us today, dropping in those comments. We greatly appreciate you guys. And shout out to you, Daniel. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Countdown City Geekcast.
No, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Last but not least, from the Legacy Nerd, Daniel. Also, if you haven't already, check out our live instant reaction to the sort of lackluster D23 Expo news and reveals. That
It had
video's
like
out on
400
YouTube.
views on it last time I checked, man.
Dude, no, 500. It passed 500.
Oh wow, congrats, man.
So, both you and me, brother, we're both there. Yeah, go check out Legacy Nerd. Give them a subscribe. Give them a shout out, and appreciate everybody in the chat. General Kenobi, Paxton, Jason, Joe, Maddie, Juan,
Rudy,
Cool Baines, Rudy, everybody who is here. Ben Rollins, Rick K, David Lozano, everybody who is out here. If I missed you, I apologize. But we'll see you next week, guys.